אז קודם כל אני אציג אותה, ג'ניפר פסטור, נכון? מהפקולטה לרפואה באוניברסיטת תל אביב, וג'ניפר נותנת לנו רגע חלון קצר לזה כשאנחנו רואים פרסום, אם בסך הכל שם או שמות, לפעמים מאחורי המאמר או מאחורי הדוקטורט מסתתר מסע גדול, עיקש, קשוח, שאותו אנחנו לא תמיד רואים. אז אני מזמינה את ג'ניפר.
Four years ago, I started my PhD with a lot of motivation. I had a first degree in biology, a master in neurobiology, and when I finally got accepted in the pharmacology department of the med school, I felt relieved. Like when you work hard for something and it finally happens. So I got accepted into a scientific laboratory where I've been told that the manager is not an easy person, that he might shout on students and create a hostile environment. And I thought, should I listen to what people say or should I see by myself? I've worked in many different places with many different people, so I know I'm flexible. Maybe I can handle it. In the beginning, I had to learn the techniques from this person. So in a scientific laboratory, you work physically close to each other. In my lab, there is a microscope connected to a computer or connected to a perfusion system. Sometimes we have to repair small pieces of the system. And as I've been told, he was really not easy to work with. Right. He had all those rules. For example, you could not switch on the air conditioning in the summer because it was making him sick. I could not switch on the lights in the room, but I managed to negotiate with him to switch on the lights above my desk. And it was considered a privilege. And people in the department from outside were telling me how lucky I was to be able to learn from him and to work with him. And I was learning. One day, we left one room to go to another to check the cells in the incubator. I was walking in the corridor and he was behind me, and he suddenly stopped and said, "Wait, let me pass in front of you because you know what I'm looking at when I'm behind you." And I quickly froze. I was confused, I was mad somehow, and he laughed. And I told him in a cold manner to focus on the work and check the cells. And then I decided to leave it because I was working a lot, I was very, very tired, and I thought, maybe I'm too tired to understand, maybe I didn't hear well, is it appropriate, isn't it appropriate? I was too tired to decide. So I put it aside. And we had promising results. We were talking about going to international conferences, maybe in the US, and as he was about to retire, he said that it might be his last trip, that he already traveled with students, and in order to share the expenses, we could share one room. And I started to become afraid because, of course, I wanted to present my research abroad, but I didn't want to share a room with him, obviously. And I thought, should I avoid going to conferences abroad? Should I sacrifice my career? And the atmosphere became heavier. Another day, we had to check the results on the same screen of the computer. Instinctively, I raised my shirt with my hand and I sat. He looked at me and said, "I see that you raised your shirt with your hand. Are you afraid I'll see something? Don't worry, I'm not looking." But of course he was, all the time, and I felt observed. And I started to pay attention to what I was wearing. In the morning, I could spend 1 hour in front of my closet, not knowing what to wear, and crying. I wanted to wear long clothes. I wanted to cover myself, and I had very long clothes. I had clothes that could cover all my body, but nothing felt satisfying. Nothing felt enough. I just wanted more and more layers. I just wanted to disappear. And I lost a lot of weight. People were telling me that my weight was not okay, and I didn't feel okay. And then I understood that I could not finish my PhD this way. So I talked to a good friend. She listened to the story and said, "You know, you're a victim of sexual harassment. Now, what do you want to do?" It was the first time someone put the right words on the situation, and it became clear. I didn't want to give up on my PhD, so I decided to report the situation. But it took me 1 year to gather all the proofs and to record with my phone all the time. And I thought it would be easy, that as soon as I will report, someone will come and save me. But it was just the beginning of a long battle. Because as soon as you take your story out, there is what I call double punishment. As if it's not enough that you're harassed every day in a small room, as soon as you take your story out, people start to judge you. And I have been judged a lot. And there are people who will support you. There are people who will not support you, and that's okay. There is white, there is black. But there are a lot of people in the gray zone. People, for example, who told me, maybe it's because you're too sensitive, maybe you should act this way, not this way. I know I'm sensitive. Everyone who knows me knows. But what's the point? So I sent letters to the highest people in the university. But in the meantime, I was isolated. I was working alone in the same room because people did not want to talk to me. Students in the lab didn't want to show him that they were talking to me. Some professors decided that they should not sit with me in the same room and that all the meetings with me will be online and that I should leave them the results of my discovery on their desk. When I was passing in the corridor, he spit on my shoes and was threatening me. And I did not feel protected. And it took me another year to get a restraining order and be sure that he will never come again to the faculty. So maybe today the system is not protecting you enough if you're a victim of harassment, but I think we all have a role to play. Because if someone comes to talk to you, don't be in the gray zone. Be the supportive person. Because believe me, it's difficult enough. Even today, it's difficult for me to stand in front of you and tell my story. And I'm telling you only the soft things, because he told me much worse things than that, but I feel too ashamed to share them. And the victim will never tell you everything anyway. And it's still an ongoing battle, because there are still people not talking to me in the department. But what I'm proud of is that last month, my article was published without his name on it. And it's an academic achievement. But more than that, this is my real personal accomplishment. That is